Welcome to the House of Rahmas. It's not often that you actually get to sit down with an athlete, because we like to talk about who's the greatest of all time. And with Root, our focus is on creating greatness, because no one wants to talk about mediocrity, right? As an athlete, we always want to become the greatest, but usually there's only one that's the greatest of all time. And we actually get to chat with the one who, in his sport, and it's interesting in this sport, many of the names that people would think are the greatest of all time haven't been able to do what Mr. Stephen Roche has done.
It's fascinating.
So,
fascinating.
You are one of two people in history, and I'm going to get the title wrong, so I'm going to let you expand upon this, that's won World Road Championships, the Tour de France, and use the proper language because it's the Italian Road Championships. It's the
Giro d'Italia.
Giro d'Italia. In the same year, in the time frame of how much time?
I think it was 18 weeks altogether.
I can't even believe it. Clayton, he told me that because I've had the opportunity, we both had different conversations with him and his beautiful wife, which has been such a gift to me, both of you. But he shared, or she shared, one of them shared with me that, I think it was him, that he went home after he won the race. Actually, they both were talking about it. He went home after the race, and then he was up at 10 o'clock the next day.
The next morning.
Instead of celebrating all night, which is maybe what we would have done.
It's what Lance Armstrong used to do.
Well, I don't know what other people do, but he was up again because he wasn't done. So there wasn't a reason to celebrate. This reminds me so much of my mother and father, which I shared with him. My parents were always like, "Why are you celebrating? You're not done."
Yeah.
And I'm like, when am I ever going to be done? Because I still, my personality, I still feel that way. But he did that. He just didn't quit, which I have to tell you, I wish we could bottle that and share that with today's youth, because I would assume you were tired and there were days you wanted to quit.
Well, of course, like if you go back and look at YouTube footage of the Giro of '87, like it'll take too long to go through all the details now, but there was an incident within my team, whereas in my team we had the '86 Giro d'Italia winner, who was my teammate, who wanted to win '87. But I'd won already some races in '87, and I wanted to be joint leader for the tour. So during the course of events, I got the pink jersey early in the race. He was supporting me, and then one day he got the pink jersey, and I had to support him. But when the press asked my friend Roberto Visentini, an Italian guy, Roberto, okay, it's cool. You got the pink jersey, Stephen will ride for you, and when you go to the Tour de France, you will ride for Stephen. And Roberto said, oh, great, yeah, but I'm not going to the Tour de France, I'm going to the beach. I'm going on holidays. So I'm kind of saying, well, okay, well, when's payback?
Yeah.
So, because he was a teammate, I couldn't be seen to attacking him. So I had to kind of find a way of distancing myself from him. And that was, it caused a lot of sensation in Italy, because I went down the descent very, very fast and he couldn't follow me. So I didn't attack him. I went down very fast. But he told the Italian press that I attacked him, which meant the Italian public went against me.
Wow.
So it was very, very difficult a few days in Italy. But I won the event in the end, and I won the final time trial. But nevertheless, when I finished it, I got my trophy. Friends of mine had come from Paris in a car to wish me luck on the final time trial. They were all starting back to work the following morning, so I had to go home. So I drove them back home from Italy, back to Paris. And we had some cocktails at home when I got home about 4 o'clock in the morning. And then two of my teammates stayed with me. We had up again at 9 o'clock or so, went and got some croissants and had some breakfast, and then went training with the intention of a wind down for the Giro, but also then building up then for the tour, which was like 18 days later.
I can't believe
Holy cow.
I can't even imagine.
So looking at sports performance, right, there's two parts, but as we were talking previously, you have the focus on training and increasing performance, but recovery is as or more important than what you create for performance.
Definitely, I always felt that if you are 100% mentally fit and 80% physically fit, you're better off being like that than being 100% physically fit and 80% mentally fit. Because when you're a little bit down, if the mental is strong, it'll pull you through. But if the legs aren't 100%, if the legs are 100% and the mind isn't good, it can bring you down, and you haven't got the extra bit of edge to pull forward in the difficult times. So, the recovery is, incredibly important, and that's why there's a very short time frame between the two events. And one was 3,500 kilometers, and the next one was starting I think it was 18 days later, which was the longest Tour de France in the history after war, which was almost 28 days long, 26 stages, 28 days, 26 stages, and 4,200 and something kilometers. So it had to be, really, really kind of recovered for it. So I decided to kind of just train my own, just to physically and mentally recover, but staying away from the press and all the media and other obligations, and just rest and recover. So recovery is, for me, is for a stage race rider, recovery is the most important thing, asset anyone can have.
And the mental, and like you said, the mental aspect of sports is at an elite level when everybody's on pretty much the same physical plane, right? Whether it's cycling, or if we look at basketball, or the real football, or chess, or track and field, which was my sport for a little bit, you can have athletes that are on the same level physically, that it's the mental aspect that's really the separation.
Well, we all have done our training. We were all come to these tours 100% prepared for it. We've been training for months prior to the event, so we all feel that we're on top. So at some stage, there has to be a bit of mental, which kind of comes into balance, because we are all, maybe some of us are equal in climbing, some of us are equal in time trialing, but nevertheless, if you're equal to somebody physically, you got to beat them somewhere. So it's tactically and mentally, and the mental is a huge and important part of a victory, because I used to kind of have all these kind of, I won't say stupid expressions, but I used to kind of say, well, okay, well, when someone says the sky is the limit, I'd say, well, you're putting a limit on what you can do. So, just whatever's the limit, take whatever comes, pain is no pain, no pain, no fame, you don't kind of say, you don't try and do your best, because trying to do your best, you might be losing out on the win, where winning is your best. So, I used to kind of say to my son and people around me, I say, well, when they say, I'm going to do my best to stay, don't bother going, because he's telling me, or you're telling me I'm going to do your best, so I'm second overall, I'm doing my best.
This is what
Whereas,
my father, my father always said, if it's second, it's not the best.
No, second is an option. If I've told everyone I'm going to do my best, and I'm second overall, I say, well, second overall isn't bad, it's my best. But if I told everyone I'm going to win, well then if I'm second overall, I'll wait till I find an option or an opportunity to a window open somewhere, come through, to try and win. And so these were all kind of things I had in my mind. And even today in business, I always kind of say things happen for a reason, but you have to also believe that what you're doing is for the best, and you can achieve it.
And putting your intention into that, saying, okay, I want
To win.
I want excellence, I want victory, not I want to participate, and I want to do the best that I can today, which mentally could be, I'm not feeling very good today, so my best is only 70% of what I'm capable of doing.
Yeah, but also I think you have to believe you can do it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe you can do it, well then, and it's not because you don't feel too good at the moment, maybe later it'll get better. So until you cross the finish line, the race isn't over. So, I had a lot of self-belief that I was better in some way than others, and or as good as, maybe not better, but as good as. So all I had to do was put the jigsaw puzzle together, and maybe I could pull it off. But self-belief is very important. It's not being pretentious or being big-headed about it, but I was very, very, focused. And for example, we used to always have a big party on the New Year's Eve.
Yep.
So for me, my new season will start. Christmas Day, have my Christmas pudding, my Christmas cake, my mince pies, and all the Christmas dinner and everything else. And then between Christmas Day and New Year's Day, I would start kind of getting back into getting to bed early, getting up early, cleansing myself, getting myself back into a normal routine again. Big party on New Year's Eve. Didn't matter what time I came home from the party. At 8 o'clock, I was up and gone on my bike at 8:30. And that was my new season was on its way.
So new year, new season, go.
Yeah,
hit
it
it,
didn't matter
run it.
it didn't matter. He made sure, and I think that's, we talk about this a lot with a lot of people in the company where we work. It's not a 9 to 5.
No.
It's not an 8 to 4. If you really are dedicated, like let's say your mission is to change the world and to provide better health or wellness, or just making people's lives better, that's not a 9 to 5. That's making it a priority to do what you need to do. And I think, I know you're such an example of what we could all do if we were determined and mentally, because I do think physically you have to be, I don't want to say gifted, you have to be basically a major outlier, right, to do what you've done. But I would say mentally and psychologically and emotionally, you have to be way, way up here, because if people could tap into what you tapped into, we would all be able to make changes throughout the world.
Yeah, I think we have to be a little bit gifted from the start. We have the genes from the parents or whatever.
Yeah.
We are gifted, but I think it's the passion as well. If you're passionate about something and you believe in what you're doing, there's no limit.
Yeah.
And whether it be in the workplace, whether it be a charity, whether it be anything you do, sport, business or whatever, if you believe in it and you're passionate about it, there's no limit. So
I got a question. So, as athletes, people.
we're athletes now, are we?
I know we're
athletes
colleagues.
now.
I was.
I'm an
I was.
athlete too.
I know.
I ran track and played volleyball in high school.
Hey, you just.
What? I'm looking at your wife, right?
Yeah.
We're athletes just because we're not like Jujat and Steven.
No, but I'm touching on a
His
guy's
wife was
standpoint.
actually a gymnast. Yes.
I mean,
But
there's-
Clayton ran track in college.
But what I was going to hit on is like for guys as athletes, female athletes are a little bit different.
What?
Allow me to work on this.
Cut.
I'm getting killed here. I'm getting killed here.
We're getting ready to go.
We're going to go to war over this.
Empowering women. What are you talking?
We're talking about empowerment.
Jujat.
Let me have my time here. This is getting difficult.
I want to cut the camera to Jujat.
No,
Can we just start that again, please?
Yeah, we just came from the summit.
but let me as male athletes in society today, there's such a focus on humility, right? But like as a sprinter, for me, I reached kind of the maximum of my physical potential, which happened to be in college, right? And sprinters are the most arrogant breed of athlete probably ever made.
Is that true,
right?
Stephen?
Yeah.
Cyclists are right up there because it's from a competitive standpoint, it's all you, right?
What
So
about chess players? Because Tunda was a chess player. They've got to be.
and like she said, when she takes a loss, it's her doing. It was her
Gotta be
fault.
hard.
But as the elite of your sport, right? And you talk about humility, and people are talking, there's such a focus put on humility. But when you've done something that someone says, oh, are you like Lance Armstrong? Or are you like Greg LeMond? Are you like everybody else? What part sits inside of you? Because you're supposed to be humble, but what part sits inside of you and goes, you're nothing like me? Does that part ever get to come out? That you're like, you know what? Actually, they did one.
I think that, we all have our day, and on our day we were the best.
But you had more than one day, right?
Well, I mean,
you had
yes.
like 90.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had but there were other days where the other guys were better as well. Or they won. But I think that you need so much to be able to achieve victory, no matter what field you're in. And we have some days all the boxes are all ticked, and you win.
So the Irish part is coming out. So you're being too humble then.
Are Irish
Right.
people
No,
humble?
That's the Irish.
I've seen Greg LeMond doing incredible things. I've seen Lance Armstrong doing incredible things, and I'm sure they've seen me do incredible things. And I wouldn't say Armstrong was better than me or or Greg LeMond is better than Armstrong, or even though Greg might say he's better than Armstrong. But I wouldn't say. We all have our day. We all have our day, and I think that we all should be sitting down and saying, around the fire, saying, we're great. We won this, we won that, and we're great. And you bet me here and you bet me there, but you know, I have great memories of it. I did my best that day. You beat me, but I got you there. You know, I think we have this. We are humble. I think we don't go around shouting about it. But I think for me, I find difficult that people say, "Oh, Indurain was the best rider ever. He's the best of his era, maybe,
Yeah.
or the best of a Tour de France." But I always say we are best on our day, but it's difficult to say the best ever.
Yeah.
Marx is unbelievably the best ever because he did everything, won everything, and whatever. But the rest of us around him, we all had our day. We were great on our day, and I think it's only fair to say that we achieved some great things, and we are as good as each other. We're the same level. We've achieved great things.
And it's being able to apply that into other parts of life, because you've been able to take your experience, from a competitive standpoint, and then apply it into the business, into business realms. And
this is so interesting because people came up to me when we were in Monaco, and I will always love Zsuzsa because she introduced me to you and your wife, but I love her for other reasons too. But no, we were in Monaco for an event with Forbes, empowering women, and I got the opportunity to talk to you. Well, people took me aside later and said that you owned restaurants and did business, and I said, I have no idea, because I have no idea. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, all I talked to you about was what you did in the past. So, and we had the opportunity to share some of our products that we would really love for you to be an ambassador and work with us, because we stand for health and wellness, and we know that's also your platform. But I'd love to know what you do right now from a business perspective, because I didn't know how to answer people, and not that I need to know, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I've had a kind of roller coaster. I had a hotel which I managed for a number of years, but it was very close to the sea. So one day a guy came in and said, "I want to buy your hotel."
They told me this too.
So I
that
sold
you
it.
owned hotels. I was
I had a
don't
hotel,
know.
yeah, small boutique hotel,
But it's
and,
interesting that these
sold
people
it.
knew you. I mean, they knew this about you.
Yeah. So I had a cycling holiday company. I was one of the pioneers in cycling holidays also in Mallorca. I do a lot of corporate work, like, they say cycling is a new golf. So you get a lot of companies now that have a lot of cyclists working in the company. So you would go along for a kind of a staff dinner or something. You go along and do a Q&A, maybe a bike ride the next day with people.
I want to do a bike ride. Can we do a bike ride with them?
Yeah, sure.
I would love to do a bike ride with our company.
Everything's possible.
So what's your take on this whole Peloton thing now? People that want to
have
ride a bike
Pelotons.
inside.
Absolutely brilliant.
I ride bikes inside.
Yeah.
We're also, I don't know if you're familiar with Scott Hamilton. He was
He's an ice skater.
Ice skater, just not a casual ice skater.
I mean, he did a backflip on the ice, won a couple gold medals.
He won a couple of gold medals. His wife's one of my closest friends, and he does bicycling now. Like, he does around the United States to raise money for his foundation. He ended up having cancer, and does a lot to raise money for children with cancer. So I'm saying this because even in our community where we live, a lot of the men and women ride bikes, and we actually do, but mine's electric.
That's okay. That's brilliant. That's very good. It's
because there's hills, and I can't go up the hills.
But it's not a problem. I mean, it's you're doing the same movement.
Yeah.
The bike won't go along by
nice.
itself. And maybe someday, maybe with this little bit of training, you might get into riding a normal bike. But even if you don't, doesn't matter. You're getting out in the air. Getting out in the air, and you're riding it, and it's much eco-friendly than the car. So it's even it is an e-bike. It's the fact of going out on the bike and participating. You're out in the fresh air. It's amazing. Keep doing it.
I'm gonna ride the bike to work here shortly. We got a shower in the new office.
That's a good idea. We have a new office and there's a shower because I have a clean room where I get to work on formula as a lab, and downstairs in the basement, and there's a shower. So we're also putting in a workout room.
Okay, so words of wisdom. What insight can you provide, or with what you've learned, destroying people on the road, but then the experience since, whether it's actually two sides. From an athlete standpoint, what wisdom would you provide athletes today based on what you've learned but then also from a business perspective, what insights would you give people on a business standpoint that they could take with them from this?
Well, I think for me, when I was cycling, I was always positive. Doesn't matter what you threw at me, I'd turn around and it was positive. Where in business, it doesn't always work out that way. And if you have a bad performance on your bike, it's no big deal, but having a bad performance in business can cost you a lot. So I think it's you've got to be much more into analyzing whatever you're doing, be much more cautious in business than you were in your sport. But at the same time, I'd also say to the businessman, like, look at the athletes, look at the guys that are winning, take example from these guys, because there's no difference in winning a bid for business or winning a bike race or a hockey game or a chess game. You all need the same ingredients, and it's not because you're an athlete and you win, you haven't got down times. And it's not because you're a businessman, successful businessman, you haven't got down times either. But it's coming back, it's the importance, and there's a lot of similarities, whether it be in sport, whether it be in business. You have to just believe in what you're doing and get the right people around you and get the right formulas together, and everybody can come back. But it's a matter of being able to kind of step back, look where you're going, and prepare. Don't just kind of do it. We can sometimes overreact very easy and very quickly on things, whereas I would say now just take a step back and before going forward. Like my son, for example, he just finished his professional career. He's doing the very same mistakes as I made. Even though I try and tell him, Nico, I can tell you from my point of view that it's difficult. Like when you're a pro athlete, or when you're a professional athlete, you witness retirement at least twice. When you're 37, 38 and you retire from cycling, it's like the guy that's 60 is retiring from his lifetime job.
That's true.
Because when you're 37, after riding a bike all your life, all you know is about riding a bike and a little bit about other things. But nevertheless, it's like a retirement, and all of a sudden you're waking up on the 1st of January that following year, you have no money coming in. You've had a big contract or a little contract or whatever coming in every month for the past 6, 7, 10, 12 years, whatever your career is, and all of a sudden you got no money coming in. So you panic. You say, gee, how can I pay the mortgage? How can I pay the bills? I've got a kid, I've got a car, I've got an insurance, I've got a mortgage, I've got the food to pay, I've got the goldfish to feed. All these things are all there, and all of a sudden I have no money coming in. I'm 37. I'm a long way from retirement. So you panic and you start doing things quickly, where sometimes it's not the right things. So I made the error of rushing into business and doing so many things before 2 years down the road, taking a step back and saying, well, what do I want to do? And why, when you're cycling and you're a professional athlete and successful, the amount of people who come along to you say, Stephen, you're great. When you finish your career, I want you on my team. I want you working on my marketing team. I want you working on my PR. I want you. I'm saying, when I can finish my career, I've got a job.
Yeah.
But when your career is over, your telephone is there and saying,
No one's answering.
no one's calling. Nobody's calling me. So you pick the phone up and say, hey, Jack, how are you doing? Yeah, I've retired now. You're saying you might have a job for me. Stephen, you're great, great guy. I really love watching you on television. You're a brilliant guy. And believe you me, when a job comes up for you, I'll call you. Meantime, keep safe. And again and again and again. So here am I, full of self-belief. I'm going to transit from my cycling career into a business career or whatever after career. And everyone told me how good it was and how easy it was going to be for me to find a job. And I had nothing. And my son has witnessed the very, very same thing. And he's after spending a year just doing kind of small things like panicking because he has to get money here. He's afraid of losing here, afraid of being forgotten about. It's a very, very complicated thing to do for an athlete when you do retire. So it's very important to kind of take a step back and say, well, what can I do? What do I want to do? Yeah. And then try and go forward rather than rushing into trying to find a job after your retirement.
I think, I kind of experienced a little bit of that, not on the same level, but I was at pharmaceutical, in biotech, and I have had a very good career, and then decided kind of at that same age, right, that I'm going to shift because I wanted to do something different. And I thought this is going to be easy. I've been able to travel throughout the world. I know so many people. Kind of the same thing though. It was a lot harder than I thought. I thought numerous times maybe I should go back. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so safe when you've done something, for me, 15, 20 years. I mean, it was like so it was a struggle that I think a lot of people don't talk about because it's hard to talk about how hard it is to start a new life or a new career. And it has a lot of challenges. And I can imagine for a professional athlete, it would be that way, especially if you've done the same thing day after day after day, which I didn't do, but for my career until I changed to do something different, I had done basically the same thing from a research science perspective for years and years. And I didn't know what to do, because it was so different. So this is a challenge that I think one of the great things about your company, Clayton, is our company, or what we do, is it gives people the opportunity, even us, to do something that we love and that we're passionate about.
Well, and it brings up the important part of what you hit on is influence. Is the key component, right? And understanding that whether you're the most elite athlete in your sport, or if you're homeless, we're all of influence, but using it when it is available and when it is abundant. And thinking of yourself as a business. As Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman, I am a business man.
Which you really are too. I don't know if you realize that, but I just want to say this to you. You are a business because you did all these things, and I understand the phone and people not calling, but the truth is, part of that, I'm just being very honest, is intimidation, because you are powerful and you are a business. So to bring you into a company, unless you're really a leader or the leader, is very hard, because you will become a leader because it's just who you are.
Yeah.
But in the competitive process now, I mean, I think it's one of those big things. This is the fun part. We're going to have conversations with in the future, is teaching athletes currently, and especially young athletes, and our kids, young adults, of them understanding, and us taking the time to understand that from a business perspective, the entire landscape of how business and consumerism has changed from when you were competing and when I was younger, to the environment that it is now, because of social media and how everyone is connected. If you're focused on using your influence now, you can actually create and build something that is perpetual. So when you're ready to finish one career, you've got an income stream or multiple income streams that you've built, from said influence that carries you through, and then you can continue doing it.
Well, the athletes today are a lot more knowledgeable as well.
Yeah.
Like, we used to finish off a stage, go back to our hotel room, have a shower, get an hour or two recovery nap, then you have a massage and your dinner and evening time. With the internet now, guys go back to the room and they're on the internet, they're doing different things. Like, I spoke to a friend of mine recently who was part of my generation, but he's now working in PR with a team. And I was thinking about, what's the difference, Stephen? When we were cycling, we used to go to the hotel. I'd say to the masseur, I'd say, listen, make sure my room is in the back of the hotel. No noise, no lifts, no noise. Now the riders come to the hotel, is there Wi-Fi? Whereas the bed could be in the hallway. Yeah. It could be anywhere once there's Wi-Fi.
And am I plugged in?
Am I plugged in? Yeah.
But that
so
shows
contact,
you that's how they live. I mean, that's how the future generation, because of especially the last shift in the last 3 years, everything's moved online. It's going to become progressively more. I think Forbes came out with an article, and Fortune magazine, which talked about 50% of the people will lose their jobs unless they learn to adapt to this new world, which is basically networking, internet, social media, and I don't know about you, but for me, I was never on social media. Like, I wasn't allowed to be on social media. As a scientist that worked at the level I worked at in pharmaceutical and biotech, because of the knowledge I had, we weren't allowed to be on social media. And now I understand, even though that's how it used to be, that can't be my future, because we have to adapt as well.
Well, the kids today, they'll tell you they've got, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 friends, but they're virtual friends. But nevertheless, that's what paying the bills today, because they can go along to a sponsor and say, I've got 10,000 Instagram, so many thousand Twitter, so many thousand Facebook, and this is all money for not money, it's exposure for potential sponsors. So the athletes today, they are very big into the social media for many reasons, not just to be going out and telling everybody what they're doing, but it's also so they can attract for later on the career, when the career is over, that they have kind of a back office which is full of people know what they're doing and where they come from, and they can use the influence they have on social media to help promote your products, for example. It's very, very different than yesterday.
Do you do social media?
To be honest with you, I'm kind of getting into it a little bit now, but it frightens me off because you push the wrong button and what you've written goes the wrong place.
I'll teach you some stuff that it's okay if you scream in the dark.
We can help with that, because that's one of the things I had to learn, and I'm like the least tech person, the least, I'm not good at anything, but I had to learn. And now I know things, so I'll just help everyone. I'll be everyone's
Yeah.
Or you can be like me and get banned on social media. So.
Yeah, I'm not banned. Clayton's always banned. I know how to be appropriate, is why.
And we'll leave it at that. So with that, we will do this again, because we're going to play with some goodies and we'll have more chats and we'll do some competitions. But thank you.
I want to personally invite you to. I'll work with your wife and put together something where we can do something with the company. Definitely. With riding bikes. I'm also interested in tuned up with chess. Zhuja is going to teach us all gymnastics.
Well, actually, I was actually very disappointed, because I was looking in the window there, I saw Tunde with her chessboard. I expect to have a bike here for me,
Well, I tried to get you a bike, Clayton didn't go get
it.
I couldn't find training wheels for me.
So. No, definitely look forward to doing something else,
I want to say thank you for coming, but I also want to say it's been a pleasure to meet you and your heart and your personality, because it's very easy to see. And it's a gift to know someone that's succeeded so much and still has humility. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very much. Really nice to meet you guys too.
Thank you.